Welcome back to the 30-day coding challenge. Today is day 7, and we're going to be building this responsive design grid component. If you're new here, hi, my name is Zoe. I'm a software engineer and former university professor who loves teaching folks how to code. If you're interested in learning how to code and possibly becoming a front-end developer, check out that first link in the description below. But without further ado, let's hop into day 7. Alright, so yeah, as you can see, it's a pretty simple component that we're going to be building here, but we're going to do it responsively, so it has the desktop version and the mobile version, and we're going to use CSS Grid if we can. So taking a look at our component here, we don't actually have to use Grid, we could use Flex as well, so let's see how it goes. It might be easier actually for us to use Flexbox. But we see how we have our individual sort of that first section on the top here, and then we have our two smaller sections on the bottom, and then on the mobile design, it just falls straightforward in a column. So pretty straightforward, pretty simple, but just a little bit different because that lower section does shift in terms of where it's placed. So let's go ahead and build this out. So I've gone ahead and built out the starter app already. Again, that's nothing I did this like months ago sort of thing in terms of setup. You can just go ahead and use this starter kit. It's the Material UI, Next.js, TypeScript combination all already set up. And you can just go ahead and clone it and use this as your starter. You can use this and you don't necessarily have to use the TypeScript element. You could use JavaScript if you prefer. So totally up to you if you want to use this, but it's linked in the description below. And also, if you do want to follow along, like always, I'm going to link the design. This is one of the free designs from Front End Mentor. I'm going to link that in the description below as well. So we have our basic spun up app here. I'm just going to go ahead and delete all of the existing sort of reset stylings there. And delete that there. And then I'm going to actually go ahead and drop in the background color for this design here. If I can grab it. Desktop. Let's see which color we're dealing with here. I think it's this light blue sort of color. So I'm going to say for the body and the HTML, the background color is going to be this. And yeah, that looks about right. So we have our background color set. Let's go ahead and build out this page. So on the page, we're going to have 3 cards. One card with like 3 sections, I should say. So I guess for this larger section, how should we do it? Let's do 3 little boxes. So I'm going to create a components folder, components, and we'll say new file is going to be card header. I'm going to call it new file card header. Oops. Header.tsx. And again, you can use JSX if you prefer. And then I'm going to create a new file called card container.tsx. And that's just going to hold all of our cards. So we'll use box to be able to style using our XX prop from Material UI. And then I'm going to import the card container onto our home page. So card container, and save that there. Awesome. And then the card container now is going to take our card header, and then it'll take the other 2 smaller card components as well. Card header. Awesome. Cool. So far, so good. So let's work on the card header now. So again, I'm going to turn this into a box. Save that. And cool, we're seeing it on the page. Let's center the card container on the page. So yeah, the card container is, I'm going to set the display of the page to flex. And I'm going to say flex, or say justify content, sorry, center and align items center. Save that. And I think I do need to set a height for this to be 98 view height. I think I should probably end up doing this in CSS, but we'll cross that bridge a little bit later. All right, so the next thing we want to do here is, yeah, build out these little pieces here. So within the card header, it looks like we have join our community, so we need some sort of typography. We need probably 3 different typography elements, so let's drop those in. We'll say typography. Cool. And this will be our first one, join our community. Awesome. Second one, hassle-free money-back guarantee. And then the description of like what they're trying to actually sell us. Cool. So that is pretty straightforward. Now let's do a little bit of styling. It looks like there's about 40 pixels of padding, I should say, padding around the elements. So we'll say 40 pixels, 2.5 rem. And what else do we need here? I think, yeah, that might be, we should do our font size and things like that. So this is going to be 24 pixels. Font size is going to be 1.5 rem. This one here is going to be 18. And then this one here is going to be regular, so we'll leave that alone. And then we'll set our colors. So this one is going to be this color here. Font, or just color. Good. This is going to be this like neon green. Let's do that there. And then this one is going to be this like bluish sort of thing. So we'll say that. Cool. We'll save that there. Awesome. So far so good. We have our little box there. The other thing we do need to do is set the background color. So we'll set the background color of the box to be white. Save that. And that's looking pretty good. So far so good. The other thing I want to do is set the max width for this box here. So it looks like the width is 635. That's going to be for this card container. I'm going to say max width is going to be 635 pixels. And the max height, because it's just supposed to be a component, it's not like a whole page, is going to be 475. And we'll set that there. Awesome. Cool. So far so good. Oh, another thing, actually, yeah, another thing we're going to want to end up doing is setting the corner radius. It looks like it's about 8 pixels. So we'll say the border radius is going to be 0.5 rem. And that'll just curve all the edges. Oh no, it didn't. Okay, so we actually have to set it on the card. All right, so we'll go ahead and set it on the card pieces instead. So we're gonna set the border radius, and it should be the same as when you're like doing top right, bottom left. So it's gonna be top left. Let's say 0.5 rem, 0.5 rem, and 0 and 0, and then we can modify it if that's not correct. No, okay, yeah, that's correct. So see how I just curved the top left and right? So that's just to get us that that little bezel. So we're gonna leave that as is, and I think maybe we can add some font weight, just a little bit of weight to this one here. Not much, maybe 600. Oops. Font weight. And yeah, maybe for this one as well, we'll do the same. Let's save that. And yeah, that looks pretty good. Do a little bit of spacing, maybe. 24 pixels. All right, so let's say margin top is 1.5 rem. Whoops. 1.5 rem. Right, and then what was it, like 0.75 rem? And then 0. Yeah, and just gives us a little bit of margin around there. And yeah, I think that's pretty good for now. Let's go with that, and let's go ahead and build the next two little boxes here. So first box there. Next one is going to be our CTA. I'll call it our CTA, call to action. So whatever we end up, if we end up changing the product, we can always just repurpose this component. So we'll say box, box. Cool. So far so good. And then we'll import it into our card container. Now this is where it gets interesting. So this is where I was like, we could use grid or we could use flex. what I'm thinking we do here is we use a box, and then within this box we have our next two components. So we'll have the CTA, and we'll have the whatever else YUS, component, and then we'll flip where they're positioned based on the orientation. We'll use the media query to do that. So let's try that, see if it works. So with our CTA now, we see we have it right there. Let's go ahead and do the same thing. So we're gonna add in some similar stylings, and honestly, we could just use like a component for some of this stuff, but it's not like, we could create a card that has 2.5 padding automatically and then takes a background color as a property and takes border radius as a property. I think if we were building something larger, it'd definitely be useful to do that. Especially as we maintain our design language. But I think because it's just a singular component right now, we can just copy a couple of the styles. So we'll add in some padding there. We'll set the background color to be, let's see what it is. Rectangle, this rectangle. Let's see. I think it's this color. If it's not, we can change it. So we'll start with this color. Cool. And then we need same thing essentially. Three different CTAs, or three different typography elements. So we'll start with typography. And first one is going to be monthly subscription. Save that. Cool. And again, if they were more similar in terms of the actual style, this would totally make sense to just separate it out into one reusable component. So then we have this, and I'm going to put in a span here for the per month, just because it is a little bit different in terms of style, but we want it to be on the same line. And then it's more of a design choice rather than like an informational separation. And then we have that, and then we'll have a button underneath all of that. Oops, I will save that. All right, cool. So yeah, that's basically that section of the CTA. The next thing we want to do is actually set the max width. So what is it? Height is going to be 259. Max width is going to be 318. So we'll say max width is going to be 318 pixels. That way it doesn't take up too much space. Cool. I think that is correct. I think once we add in the other one, it'll sort of occupy that other space. So let's go ahead now, and we want to set the color. So we'll say colors for this. Color is white. And we'll borrow that for the next one as well. I think, are they all white? Yeah, they're all white. Except for that little span. I'm not quite sure. Let's take a look and see what color that is. Okay, it's still white, just the opacity is smaller. So we'll style this. We'll say, what is it? Color is RGBA. Oops, make that into, put it in quotes. Oh, it's missing. There we go. And I think it's 100, 100, 100, then 0.5. Yeah, that's basically, yeah. So I want it, actually, sorry, 255, 255, yeah. Okay, that's what I want. I want it white, but a little bit see-through. That looks correct. And then let's set the sizing now. So this is going to be 18, whoops. We'll say font size 18 pixels. This is going to be 32 pixels. And also font weight, we could probably set as well. Font weight of 600. We'll say font size to rem. And font weight probably like 800. And And then, but per month is different. We don't want per month to have any of that. So we'll say font weight like 400 and font size is going to be 16, so 1 rem. Cool. And I think we also probably need to do some sort of display flex, align items in the center. Yeah, that way there's a little bit of space there. Okay, interesting. And then we'll also, guys, do margin left, just to give some space there of like 0.5 rem. Awesome. Looks pretty good. And then the last one, I don't think we need to change it. It's just regular size 16. Another thing, we'll add in some, again, just add in some padding, some margin between these two. I think this is about 1 rem. Let's say margin top, 1 rem. And yeah, pretty good. And then we'll add in this button at the bottom. So the button, probably about 1.5 rem padding on top. Okay, and then it's gonna say sign up. And the background color is gonna be this. So we'll say background color is that. And the actual text color is going to be white. Cool. And yeah, that should be it. I think, yeah, we'll make it full width. I think that's width, whoops, equals 100%. Text transform is none, because it's actually forcing it into uppercase, which we don't want. And then we'll probably make it like font weight, maybe 600, make it a little bit more bold. Size wise, yeah, it's just regular. Maybe we do 800 even. Cool. And I think maybe there's a little bit more padding on top. And yeah, that looks pretty good. So that's the second card right there. Let's go ahead and create that third, the third piece of the card, I should say. And that is going to be our Y. And again, you could probably come up with a better name than Y, but we're going to use Y for now. So this is, again, starting with the box for Material UI. Using that as our base. We'll import it into our card container now. So we'll say Y. Cool. So now we have it. You see how it's stacking, going straight down? We actually want it to come over to the side. So this is where we'll start to mess around with our display. So we'll say display flex. And that should just, yeah, that pops over to the side. And you see how it takes up an equal amount on the sides. So it's sort of compensating for the fact that it's there. The other thing we actually do want to do, which I completely forgot about, is setting that border radius on the bottom. So let's do that real quick before we completely move on. So sort of copying over from the card header, we're going to modify where the border radius is. We actually want it to be the bottom two. So we'll change that. Or no, actually, probably just the bottom one. Yeah. So it'll be 3 zeros and 0.5. So we just want this corner to be curved. So yeah, we have that there. And then let's move on to Y. So now for Y, we want to do basically a similar style to this. So we'll copy, we can borrow this and use that as our base, and then just change where this 0 goes. So the 0 we want on that side. So yeah, you'll see it, the outside edge is curved. We also need to grab this color, which is, oops, which color is that? I think that was the other color. I don't think that, yeah. Another quick way I often grab colors is using this color picker. Yeah. Awesome. super quick. Background color is going to be this. Perfect. Perfect. All right, cool. So we have that. Now let's drop in our text, and this should be a lot more simple. So we have why us. So we'll drop in a typography element. Why us? Typography. Cool. And it's going to be, again, a size 18. And then font weight is going to be, I think we agreed on 600 for the other one. Yeah, so it should match. And then the color is going to be white. Cool. Awesome. Max width, we got that set. Then we need this list here. Now there are two ways we could do this. We could do this like just kind of using breaks, but I think the better way to do it is using an actual unordered list. So we'll say unordered list. Do they have a list component? Oh, they do. I haven't used it before. Let's try and see how it goes. So we'll say list. And then, what is it? List item, maybe? Yeah, list item. Okay. And then let me put in the first one and see if that looks all right. Tutorials by industry experts. Let's see, element type, valid. Lazy element type. Oh, list item. Okay. It indents it. I don't really love that it indents it. I think there's a property that's like list style. List style none. No. List style CSS. Square inside none. Inside URL. Oh, interesting. Okay. I don't really love that. How to remove list indentation CSS. Margin left. Margin left 0. Let's see if that worked. No. Let's try it here. No. Okay. I'm not really loving the list just because it's not doing what we need it to do. So let's use a box and let's use typography elements, just going right down. So let me copy all of that text, drop it there. Okay, and we'll just drop these into typography elements. Oh, geez. All right. Okay. Yep. And wow, I actually put the right number. Fantastic. Oops. Okay, cool. We'll get rid of this extra little space there. All right, cool. So now we have all of those lined out. Another thing that I'll want to do, I could have just made a style component for these, but I did not. Again, there are ways to make this a lot cleaner, you know. if you're using this for your portfolio. And that looks good. The only thing I want to do is set like a min width. So what is it, 318? I think I'm going to set the max width, but min width. Or is that the same? That should be the same actually. Oh no, that's not right. I think this is why it's saying use grid. So let's go to CSS tricks, grid layout guide. So we say display grid. Let's try that. So it would be for this container. So if we say display grid, grid template columns, 1FR, 1FR, they should just take up the same amount of space. Cool, that solved our problem. We'll go with that. So that works for this, for the desktop design. So our desktop design is basically complete. We're good to go. The next thing we want to look at is our mobile design. So I have it open in a second tab just so I can toggle back and forth between the two. For the mobile design, we actually want we want it to just be one option. So if I say 1FR, yeah, that's what we want. All right, so let's put our mobile query in here. So we're going to use our media query hook from Material UI, import it from here. I think we might need to use it. Well, let's see. We might have used it in a couple locations. And I'm just going to flip it up a little bit. I'm going to say const mobile equals max width 600 pixels. And so I'm going to be asking, like, if it is mobile, do this. If not, do something else. So if it is mobile, we want the grid template columns to just be one fraction. Otherwise, we want it to be one fraction, basically saying like it's either set up like 1 and 1 or it's 1 and 2. So that's what we'll do there. Oh, and it does not like it because this needs to be a client component. We'll save that. Okay, awesome, cool, so that looks good. And then, yeah, it's doing it correctly here. The only other thing I want to change is these little pesky little border radius things. And I feel like that's part of the trick of the design. Oh, actually here, they just don't have it curved at the bottom at all. Interesting. So I guess you just remove the border radius if it's straight down. Don't know if that's ideal or if that was an accident, but we'll follow the design as it is outlined. So border radius, yeah, we're gonna have to do two more mobile queries. So we'll copy this media query into CTA. And again, it's not strictly necessary, but it doesn't look great. It doesn't look polished. So we do want to make sure that we sort of do the best with what we're working with. So we'll turn this into a client component, and then we'll say if mobile border radius is 0, otherwise border radius is that. And then we'll do the same thing in our Y. Also remove some of these imports we're not using, just to keep things clean. We'll say if it is mobile border radius will be 0, otherwise it will be that. And yeah, that looks pretty good. That's exactly what we want there. So I think, yeah, we're pretty good to go there. So yeah, that was a really quick way of how we can use CSS Grid, a combination of Grid and Flexbox really, in order to build a responsive design. As I said, there are ways to optimize this and sort of make it a lot cleaner. And I'd recommend that if this is one of your portfolio pieces, you definitely take a few minutes and just clean it up, you know, use a lot more reusable components, don't repeat yourself as much, and yeah, make it a really, really solid portfolio piece. But if you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button. If you want to see more content like this and follow along with the challenge, don't forget to subscribe by hitting that button down below. And if you want to see the rest of the videos that we've done so far and the ones coming up, I'll leave a link to the playlist up here so you can check those out. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.